Thank you. That's a great introduction. I see everything, pass by talking about it. Anyways, so yeah, hi, I'm Suzanne. I do things DevX. Basically, it comes down to unstocking companies in their developer experience journey, in their platform engineering journey, and on the side, I help a few developer tooling companies with some product development. I'm a Microsoft MVP on developer technologies, and I like the concept of failing fast. And I figured I don't feel the pain because most of the time I'm a consultant or helping out other companies, so I don't really feel the pain myself. So I decided to go snowboarding at age 42. My ribs are finally healed. Um, but yeah, it's great to apply these principles, and sometimes pain is necessary to evolve uh, in anything in life. So I can just continue without the slides. It doesn't matter. Look at that. Great. So I've been around for a while. I've seen things. When I started out doing software development, I was 17. We were just like porting software I was porting software from Clipper to Visual Basic. There were new languages, there were new operating systems, next generation stuff, Visual Basic. Yes. Come on, tough crowd. And it was quite simple. We had some tools, but we didn't have too many frameworks to choose from. There were just a few programming languages. There was not that much choice in that space. And there were, well, some libraries we could use, but most of the time we needed to get really, really creative. And we figured out some creative solutions. And that's totally possible. You're in small teams, you're building a monolithic application, you do everything from beginning to end. But over the years, software development became a bit more complicated because we knew more and we got better technologies. So sometimes that even resulted in things outside of our knowledge domain. We needed to accept that there would be somebody specialized in databases, somebody specialized in messaging. We had a lot of frameworks at some time, a lot of platforms to choose from. Look at the current day. Just imagine everybody, I guess, knows the CNCF landscape chart. I normally show it, but it became too big, and everybody was like, ugh, when I show it. But there's many different technologies to choose from, more than ever. The technologies not only are many, they are so incredibly powerful. But for building one application, we need even more people, more technology. We need to collaborate to ship things, and we want that to happen fast. I mean, who is considering working on AI in their app, or their work is considering an AI? Who is still trying to get into the cloud native, modernizing their application? Who is moving back from monoliths, from microservices to monoliths? No, not yet. Oh, well, it will come at some point, I assure you. It's very complicated, and we can't know everything, right? And to support us on our journey, over the past, decade, a lot of things happened. We started out working agile. At some point, some person somewhere coined the term DevOps. Hi, Patrick, if you're watching. And we figured out, okay, we needed to do CI/CD better. We need to automate more. After we went through automation, we realized, oh, but if we want to automate things, we need to look at our tech stack, and we need to be very considerate on the choices that we make. And if we want to automate it, writing scripts is not that good of an experience. So yeah, no, that's not a great idea. And then we had the whole DevOps fight at some point, where we had the DevOps wall of confusion. Remember that, or still in it, maybe? It's difficult to stay aligned. So we tried to solve it many times with many different things. Incidents, reliability engineering. No, not really solving it. Oh, security. Oh, let's shift that left. And now we are at a point where people say, because we can, shift left, give the power back to the developer, and we manage this part, but let the developer decide what to do. Monitoring, yeah, observability, yeah, go ahead. Here's some tool, here's some portal, here's some script maybe. And now we are at a point where we are doing DevSec, AI, ML, Fin, Green, whatever ops, right? So it all stacks up the shift left movement until there's nothing more but shit left. Okay. And that is adding to that complexity that we need to work with. Because technology is powerful, all those initiatives help us. But on the other hand, we are already busy figuring out all the stuff that we need to do. It's around 15 hours a week that you spend on useless stuff that nobody really feels passionate about in general, that are totally not related to coding. Not coding at all. That doesn't help. So yeah, people try to figure out solutions. So the folks from Humanitech made this nice overview of what could be a developer platform. So there are some tools you might use and recognize, and platforms you might recognize. And one of the things that is happening is that organizations are trying to glue the things together so that you have a somewhat better experience. But yeah, when I look at this, I can't help but wonder, how many tabs do you have open for when you're working, when you are releasing software or trying to do your daily business? How many tabs? So let's see, 10 or less. Wow. 20. Ish, 30 or more? Yeah, because when I look at this, and I do some work here and there, and I see this. These are the interfaces, right? So for a task that I need to do, which is, daily work, just ongoing business, it's relatively the same every time. I need to stop somewhere and switch between a browser tab, opening up a new interface, trying to figure out, oh, here's the logging. Oh, but there might be some security incident. Oh, I need to look at my cloud portal. Ugh, cloud portals. Can't ever find anything. Losing my phone somewhere in the house. I'm old. So you get the MFA challenge, I'm distracted, open a tab, but there was another tab open from something else I was working on. Get more distracted. And with each distraction comes friction, because it slows me down. It's a lot of cognitive load dealing with all of those interfaces. That is not ideal. This is shit left, right? So how to solve it? There's one solution which I think is incredible. It's this. This is called a ticket in a ticketing system. And there are companies who solve it that way. Hey, maybe if we have this DevOps problem and we have trouble, getting the requests somewhat within our best practices, we can't give you all the rights on that environment because, half a year ago, somebody made a change and the whole cluster stopped working, and so you can't have those rights. I'm sorry. We take care of it. We take it all back. We have this platform, and you submit a ticket. Ticket ops. But tickets are the place where innovation dies. Because if you think that switching between browser tabs is distracting and killing for your productivity, no, this is really something that you do not want to have, opening a ticket. And there's more. Because of modern day software challenges, well, there's a lack of findable, reasonable documentation. I need to explain. Normally I put up quality, but at some point I realized it's not about the quality, it's about good enough. You know, just enough to get you working. Ownership. Who owns what? Who's running on call? Hey, I'm talking to this API, and you have a question about it. Who is maintaining that stuff? Where do I need to go? That cloud service, well, it might be the cloud service, but I don't know, because I put a message in the infra channel. Do you have an infra channel on Slack or something? Like, it's like a, you know, just like my mailbox. You can't find anything, you don't get answers, so you need to make that ticket. Where just, you know, this. Collaboration and trust is a problem. It's more of a result of all of these things happening. And yeah, this all, well, gives us a lot of challenge. Resulting in people burning out, people just like, meh, giving up. Well, it is what it is. I'm not happy, but it is what it is. Fighting, that happens. People argue with each other. Meh, bad. Silent quitting is, of course, one popular. And yeah, the last one is somebody moving out, but not happy, you know? It's not fun if you leave a job because it's just a mess. So yeah. But how to move from the situation that you're in and actually improve things? So you don't have to think about this, because I you know, coined this word now. So we call it survival ops, because like you get all these requests and you're struggling to with your productivity, you're struggling to deliver value to the company. And it doesn't matter if you're dev or ops or you call yourself an engineer, whatever. You're all struggling. We're all trying to survive. That is not creativity. That is not innovation. It's basically surviving. And good news, you are not alone. So in the latest State of DevOps report, and I think the last State of DevOps report Puppet wrote, they said that 80% of the organizations is somewhere mid-journey in DevOps. Yeah, that's survival ops. That's hard. And true, I see it every day. I talk to those companies, you know, stuck. How do I move from here to something better? DevOps is dead, is what they say. But DevOps is not dead. DevOps is evolving. The fact that Puppet says, hey, we're not going to do the State of DevOps report anymore because basically we know all about DevOps. It's just about applying what we already know. There's all these reports. They're still true. But it's evolving. And the next phase of DevOps, and maybe also a solution for the state that we're in currently, that is platform engineering. And it's not just a buzzword, though if you read this description, which is the definition Puppet put in a report, I'm gonna read it out. Platform engineering is the discipline of designing and building self-service capabilities to minimize cognitive load for developers and to enable fast flow software delivery. Who's inspired? Let me summarize it, because platform engineering is about one thing, and that is product. And product is about many things. Product is about delivering value to your customer. Now, who's the customer? The customer is anybody that engineers stuff. Anybody in your engineering organization, or maybe even beyond that. And building a product means that you have to understand. You have to understand the requirements that your customers have. You have to iterate. Because big things, big projects, they fail. So you create a product, you stamp on an alpha, and you give it to the people, you listen to the feedback, you improve, and you start iterating on it. And it's not only the technical things, it's also cultural things. It's also about UX. So what would a platform team look like? Well, this is somebody I agree on the internet. So it can be many different roles that you put in your team. And there is no one-size-fits-all answer. But my takeaway is that you would put in somebody who can act as a product owner, who can really take charge of the product development. Somebody who can do the internal developer relations, developer advocacy work. Because if you have a product, you want people to use it. Otherwise, nobody will buy it from you. Maybe somebody with a necktie, I don't know, project manager, maybe. And it makes kind of sense. Engineers, developer, probably you have a DevOps team, or you have a developer experience or developer productivity team. Those are the ideal teams. But you need to look at the roles. Because you're building a product, and you're building a product, if you're successful, for the rest of the organization. Now, looking at self-service for a developer, that's an easy story. You have all the engineers. Great, they can press a button, and then the environment is deployed. And they chunk in their code, and good to go, right? Happy flow. But if you look at data science, for instance, they might have total different demands. Leadership in your organization might be very much interested in reporting, or at least insights. Engineering managers love some insights because decisions need to be made. The state of current affairs needs to be flagged. People need to be aware of things. So it's a central role. It is not just one thing, it is many things. So how would you build a product team? Because, well, chances are that you are not at a big startup, because otherwise you would probably not have this problem. So assuming you have an existing team. So you first remove distractions and create focus time. Focus time to work on the next iteration of what you're doing. You can't probably say, hey, we fly in a whole new team and build stuff. It doesn't really work that way. You need to enable a learn-it-all culture. That means take all the time to learn everything. Learn about the habits of the people that work with your product. Learn about the customer-facing teams. What are they actually building? A lot of times what I see is that teams do not know the context. They do not know what we're building and why we're building it. Aim for autonomy. Do not make a mess out of it, but you hire the best people. So trust them to do the right thing, but help them and make sure that they have this sense of purpose. And make sure that you are very clear on where you want to go. For instance, we will enable all engineers in our company to work in a frictionless way. Cool. That means that everything that I do that does not add to that, I need to rethink that. Am I doing the right thing? Can I stop with the thing? Do I need to flag the thing? And involvement in the roadmap, because if you're not involved in the roadmap, then it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're not involved, then you're building stuff because somebody asks you. That's not great success. And most importantly, do research. So where do you start? Well, I don't have all the answers, but what in general really works well is find two things. One that is really valuable to your team. Something that solves a problem, that it solves a frustration, and creates more time to work on improving your platform engineering. And balance it with something that is really valuable for your customer. Then you start developing the product, you take them on board, very, very soon after you think, okay, we're gonna build something. Invite them over. Pick a team that you have good ties with. A team that is successful in adopting something that you launched before, or a team that you are very, very close with. Some team that is in proximity of where you are. So no late night Zoom meetings or something like that. If you're far away from each other, it generally doesn't help. So start with that and ensure that you're in it together. So create a feedback loop. Sit together regularly, show the updates, technical demo, or roadmap conversations, maybe decisions that need to be made. Yeah, you need to build your platform or at least glue it together. Yeah, it needs to be practical. You can always iterate. So create something that works and ship it. Create a great interface. Remove that distraction. We've seen like the screenshots that I showed earlier. Those are in general not really great interfaces if you're developing software. It's too much of everything. So abstract away where possible and give insights where it's valuable. Yeah, and drive adoption. It's basically like the key to anything that you want to achieve. One thing that can help is creating a golden path, because creating a golden path helps you as an exercise to review all the steps that are needed to get to success. So if you are looking at developing a backend application, okay, what do you need to do to be successful and create a backend application that is, well, deployed according to our best practices, according to maybe legal obligations. The platform needs to be, according to best practices. You wanna build an A-class product. At the end of the golden path, you should be able to release your software in a way that you have envisioned. And make sure that everybody can find that. Because trust and transparency, that's important. And it will help with onboarding, and it will help with collaboration. One thing that I think is very inspiring, what I learned from Spotify is that they have this thing, they call it golden state. It's a way where they measure stuff, and they display where you are along the lines of the journey towards what they actually want to see. So they do not chase you down like, hey, you're doing the wrong thing. You get this great scorecard, and it shows you bronze, silver, gold. And if you're doing something great, you move towards the gold. That's what everybody wants in the end of the day. So think of ownership definitions, think of documentation, quality, but also code-related stuff can be in there. And that helps setting clear goals towards the end result. But yeah, how do you do that? Because probably you are not going to build a whole new interface. There might not be time for doing that, and there's great alternatives out there. Gluing it together, one of the best practices nowadays is to have an internal developer portal. And it can create a great experience out of that chaotic open source or closed source even mess that you have in your company. Yeah, the definition is that it's an interface where developers can discover and assess internal information and do some self-service. I don't know. But if you look at what it really is, a developer portal has a few basic capabilities, and that is a software catalog. So you can find out what you're running inside your company and who owns it. Preferably also a lot of context. Where do I find the documentation? Who's running on call? Where can I find that graphs? Valuable information, so I don't need to switch between tabs or have to go on Slack or find out some documentation has moved, people have moved, whatever. Self-service. This is more about providing you with a beautiful interface so you don't have to build it. And it's consistent with the rest. Insights, because your developer portal will probably be at the center of everything that you do. So it's a great place to provide insights not all the insights you have, but the ones that are valuable to display. Think of the customer. They don't want everything; they just want what they need, just enough. Documentation. Some portals offer documentation as a product or as a plugin inside of their solution, but oftentimes it's about finding the documentation. So either by search or by direct links, contextual. Integrations and plugins. So developer portals are normally not there to replace the tooling that you have, but to present them in an abstracted way. So think of that whole landscape. On top of that is your developer portal, and the rest is when you need it, you need it. When there's like something really going awfully wrong somewhere, probably you will open the tool. But it's not the way that you will probably discover it when you have an internal developer portal. So what would it look like? So this is an example of an internal developer portal, and this is a catalog. So it shows me what services I have. I can filter it on the team, on the stuff that I own, maybe other characteristics like the tags or the environment it's running in, cloud provider. You can filter on that, and yeah, you click something. What do you see? Well, you get to the, I say, homepage of the service that you're clicking. So this should, in general, contain information that is relevant. So I was talking about the scorecards. Well, these apply to this blog service I have here. We have Datadog, so it shows some information from that. PagerDuty, who's running on call, creating a ticket maybe even, new incident. And some security stuff. And on the right side, you see the metadata. So who owns it? In this case, they're persons. I would not recommend that. Always make it a team because persons, that's not dependable. And if you go to the next step, then you see an example of a integration. And in this case, it's with the pipeline here. And you can see, the status. It is nothing more than that. You can get some information about it, but if there's really a problem, you will still go somewhere else to fix it. You will still go to your cloud provider or go to your GitHub, fix your action, or go back to your code, most likely. And I think that is the main thing if you look at plugins and integrations. It's about displaying just enough information. So dependencies, being able to see how your landscape fits together, really valuable. What environments actually are related to your service. You don't generally know about the cloud service if you created it using self-service, but sometimes it just helps to understand. And the platform team, well, they love this because they use this a lot more. Direct link to the right blade in your portal. Yeah, this is a bit of zooming in on the scorecard concept. So yeah, this can basically be anything. It can also be DORA metrics that you want to show on a team level, or just imagine maybe something that is really cool that I've seen is that if you are migrating from one framework version to a newer version or something, you can also put it in a scorecard. So people know how far they are along, or how far, which applications are lagging, or how many of the applications are lagging. It's just about providing those insights. And that also makes it useful to the rest of the organization because everybody can see what's happening. Not that it's maybe necessary to migrate to the new framework, but at least it's visible. You can have a conversation like, hey, why are you not moving? Well, great reason. Self-service. So this would be a catalog of stuff that you can do. Ideally, this would not only be the day zero operations where you create something from scratch, because probably you're not doing that very often. But it's more also about day one and day two operations, where you can basically call any service that you have, any automation that you already have. Probably you're already using something like Terraform for spinning up stuff. You just, integrate it in this way, and you are greeted by a very welcoming form that you can customize, and people go through the form. You can make it as horrendous as you want, or as good as you want. And when somebody presses run, you would go through running whatever you have built with whatever you need. Approval loops, using the tools, approval gates, using the tools that you already have. Maybe getting some changes also in your portal to update the information, to make sure that everything is automatically updated. It's about making a wow experience. If it's not wow, then probably it is not convincing your customer. It needs to be, this will save me so much time. Or failures. Search, so a powerful search is important so that you can actually find the stuff that you own, find the right people, but I think the most important one is finding the right documentation. There are internal developer portals that offer documentation and there are that don't, but the most important thing is finding. Doesn't matter where it is. I don't like Confluence, but if there's good information, then yeah, it is there. So yeah, great internal developer portal. So what do I do? Do you buy, create your own internal developer portal? Build one, from scratch. I've done that a few times, but admittedly, it was 15 years ago or something, 10 years ago. I don't know. I hope nobody uses them anymore. So no, that's not an option because there's a lot of alternatives. It will take you a lot of pain and a lot of time, and it's a mess to create one and make it work. It's not advisable to do that. Would you buy one? Yes, you can buy one. There's a lot of great tools out there that you can take for a spin, and you can discover if it meets your demands. Just look at the value that it creates for you and be wise on your decision. Look beyond a developer portal, but also look at, can this company help me with adoption? Can this company help me with great advice on how to move into platform engineering? Are they ready to partner with you? That's what I would look at when I would select a tool. Because features, they can all develop features and they can be very fast. So the other option is open source. When I talk about an internal developer portal, most people first think about Backstage. Backstage is a framework for building your developer portal. So instead of building something from scratch, you use something that is built and maintained by many people from a community. There's thousands of adopters at this point. Millions of developers use Backstage every day, and it's one of the most popular projects in the CNCF at this point. It is a framework. Why is it a framework? Because basically Backstage is just like a GUI. You open it, there's nothing there. All the functionality comes from plugins. That's why it's successful as an open source project. And there's over 100 available. And you can develop them yourself as well, of course, and maybe contribute them back. Admittedly, that's also one of the challenges because your customer is important and offering a great developer experience is important. So chances are that if you are successful with Backstage, you will need to modify open source plugins. Oh, I want to use that plugin. Yes, but is it visually, consistent with the rest? Is the experience good enough? Does it integrate with my services as well as it should? Chances are the answer is no, and you need to use it as a basis to build better stuff. It is not bad, it's just something to take into account. So yeah, you're building it on your own, but a little bit together with the community. And the community is really awesome. And I've seen great things being built with Backstage, and a lot of companies are really, really successful. But you need to invest. Otherwise, go for buying a product. So to close, yep. Yeah, build a product team where like the keyword is product. The keyword is that you have customers, you do not have developers. Platforms should adapt to your developers, not the other way around. If a developer needs to adapt to your platform, something is probably wrong, because that adaptation takes, causes friction, but also chances are that you will have pain later on. Technical debt, anyone. Abstract where it provides value, not everywhere, but only where it really provides value. But also be conscious of what you show. If you want to show stuff, make sure that it adds some value, because otherwise people will zone out. Yeah, research and well, building the tool is of course not the goal, right? The goal is to have a great experience, make sure that it is used and adopted, and yeah, nobody got fired for creating a great experience what everybody loves. So that's the most important thing of everything. So don't jump on the next hype, only if it really makes sense, but just create a good experience of the stuff that you have. And with that, I'm a little bit over time, but thank you. There's some links to some research helping you on your way, hopefully.
Thank you very much. When it comes to building your own versus using an existing tool, I'm way too often on the side to just start something my own, but it's something different between starting it and actually finishing it.
Yes.
So could be a good alternative. So we do have time for some questions. Do you have? There's a question.
No, thank you, great talk. I have a question. You point out transparency as an important thing. Any special reason why you're not pointing out also practices with transparency, doing it using inner source when you do platform engineering? That's an important choice that we made when we started doing that.
Yeah, so inner sourcing is a great thing to do with your company, but you need some foundation before you can start doing it. It's not for every company. So the reason I'm not mentioning it is to make it not too big. I want it to be quite practical, but I'm happy that you ask. Because if you look, and especially when you try to adopt Backstage, it's a great example, because you do not have another choice but do inner source. So yeah, if you want to adopt Backstage, then you will have the inner source collaboration going on, because you have all the plugins and basically the people that know what should be in a plugin. Those will also be the people that need to build it. So and you can collaborate on that. So that's really great. But also, if you look at this is maybe the first step. As soon as you know what you have, you will probably see that a lot of people are trying to solve the same problems, but at this moment you're not aware yet. So in my experience, before you get to a successful inner source motion, well, either you have the right culture already in your company, which is possible, but probably the foundation to do that will be missing. Because if you do not have the trust and the transparency yet, not any initiative will work, and certainly people will not openly talk about which problems they have and what keeps them up at night, because everybody wants to be the best team. We do not want to know what the other people are building, because yeah, we are building something different. It's in a different knowledge domain. It's a different customer-facing application. You want to solve those problems before you do that in general. So you know that I normally talk a lot about, maybe you don't, but I talk a lot about that. But no, I decided to keep it out because got a lot of questions about it. So.
And we started with inner source and then moved into this direction.
Yeah, but you're an awesome company, I know. I've seen the presentation.
Thank you. Are there more questions? Yeah.
So I work in the company where we have multiple super specialized platforms like SRE portal, reliability platform, observability, productivity, dev portal, and like others. And right now we have situation where we don't have integration between those portals, and you need to use all 10 portals to during incidents. What is your approach? How to integrate them? Should we create one more portal?
Yes, that was the first thought that I had. No, creating a new portal might just be the solution. So the thing is, a lot of those portals that you're mentioning probably provide some value. They provide a direct service where you can monitor, change, run things. An internal developer portal is not meant to do that. It is an abstraction layer to simplify things, to remove friction, to make sure that people are not like having to context switch all the time. So reduce the cognitive overload. And that's why internal developer portal can provide a lot of value. And yeah, it's basically everything overlaying what you already have. When they want to try to solve a problem, or when they are in an incident mode, yes, they will open that one portal that you mentioned, or all 10 of them probably, and then probably also still not having all the information. It's the sad reality, but your portal can help with that. So just another portal. I'm not a fan of just throwing tools at things, but it's an abstraction layer, I would say, not a tool. It's a product.
There was one question.
Thank you. So you mentioned a couple of times great documentation, being able to find that, and you mentioned work being challenging and rewarding. So my question is, how do you make writing documentation rewarding? Because that's usually a thing that's left out.
Yes, there's not a one-size-fits-all answer. Actually, each time it's a struggle to find out what works and what doesn't. There's a few things. Putting documentation as part of your definition of done, that's one thing. Actually, actively rewarding people for writing onboarding documentation or delivering documentation, that is the other one. So in your conversations, and we all have those conversations about your outputs, and sometimes activities if you're really unlucky, but documentation should be a part of that. A simple question is, how did you provide other people with the knowledge to make them successful? Like those kind of questions could be things. But the definition of done is very solid because you need to do it, and then you need to follow it up. It's an effort that you need to buy in from the EMs from, and maybe the product people as well. But yeah, there's no other way. You need to be rewarded. One thing that I love is in a newsletter or something, also pointing out like, hey, there's this new documentation, blah, blah, blah. Thank you, just send it up the org, like a newsletter on your efforts. It's like one of the best things. Communicating to your leadership what you're doing, highlight those initiatives. Just keep on doing that. Just put it on the agenda. And one thing is also when you are talking about roadmaps, and this goes for like across, like your also the customer facing teams, include the engineering effort, include the documentation effort. Like make those efforts visible. Documentation is not something that like suddenly documentation has appeared. No, it's not that way. Like it's hard work, and yeah, it needs to be rewarded.
How does information end up in that portal? Who puts it there? Does it come through some sort of scraping from existing systems? And who's responsible for keeping it up to date?
Yeah, so there's many different ways, and it depends a bit on the tool that you're using. So first of all, if you have a service in a portal and you are responsible for the service, you are also responsible for the metadata. That's one of the principles that you should really embrace. Even if it comes from another system, the team that owns the service should be responsible for what is in the metadata. Because in the end of the day, they decide. It's their service, their application, something they're building, maintaining. On ingesting, it's one of the things that I would advise to really look into when you are doing a product selection. For instance, when you use Backstage, currently there's not a real straightforward way of importing services. Backstage is based off of YAML configurations, and those YAML configurations you usually put in your repository, and then you scrape those repositories, and it appears in Backstage. That's great, but if you have other sources, you would need to write a custom entity processor or basically a script to generate those YAMLs. That makes it the responsibility of the team that maintains the portal, most likely. Not ideal. Other products, they have integrations with GitHub, so that gets updated automatically. And you just pick the ones that are actively maintained by somebody, and they get assigned to the team, and it's not a problem anymore. Automatic. Cloud providers, same story. You can ingest cloud services. There's a discussion if you want that, because it removes a bit of the abstraction layer, but as you saw in the screenshot, it can provide a lot of insights on dependencies or where to find things. Yeah, that should be automatic, and otherwise you need to write a script and you need to maintain the script. So basically, those are the things that your product team that maintains the portal will always be responsible for. It's just the product selection that makes it a big job to implement or a small job to implement. That's product things. I hope that every portal has ingestion features, but not yet.